Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about hearing protection and earplugs. And this came up from a conversation I was having with some riding pals the other day. And it really divided opinion as to whether or not they wore earplugs when they rode their motorcycles. Now, I've always worn ear protection whenever I've been riding, but after hearing the real diversity of opinion, I thought I'd do a little bit of research on it. So having looked into it, personally, I would say that you've got to be stark raving bonkers to ride a motorbike without earplugs or some form of hearing protection. So why do I say that? Well, hearing is something that I think we all take for granted a little bit, and not that difficult to damage your hearing permanently. Hearing loss can be cumulative, as in you damage it a little bit on one occasion, then you damage it a bit more on another occasion, and it all starts to build up. Studies show that repeated exposure to sounds over 85 decibels will induce hearing damage, and we've all probably experienced it a little bit through our lives. Imagine going to a rock concert. You come out of the rock concert and afterwards you've got that kind of ringing noise in your ears, kind of a tinnitus. That's damaging your hearing. Now, in many cases, that's temporary damage and your ears will recover. But subject that on a constant basis and that temporary loss will become permanent. You hear stories of lots of people that have got permanent ringing in their ears. Now, it's all very well to quote numbers, but what does that actually mean? Well, 70 decibels is what you might consider if you were sitting at home, watching TV, listening to some music. 70 decibels is around that kind of sound level that you'd get from sitting in your sitting room. And at around about 80 decibels would be a petrol lawnmower, maybe just a touch more than 80 decibels. And we're saying that exposure to 85 decibels and above can damage your hearing. But what we have to remember here is that the way sound is measured, the decibel scale is not linear. So going from 70 to 80 decibels is a doubling of sound. 70 to 90 is a quadrupling of sound. 70 to 100 decibels is 8 times the sound level. So why is this important or got any relevance to riding a bike? Well, you'd be amazed at the level of noise that you subject your ears to when you are riding a bike. And I've heard lots of people say, oh, you know, I haven't got a Larry bike with a loud can, it's not that loud, it's fine. But actually it's not the noise of the motorcycle that is doing the damage. The biggest issue with noise is wind noise, and wind noise is also around that frequency which really kind of buzzes around your head and induces fatigue as well. So again, studies have shown that above kind of 35-40 miles an hour, doesn't matter whether you've got the most obnoxious antisocial can on the end of your bike whatsoever, mechanical bike noise and everything doesn't become an issue. You don't hear it. Wind noise drowns that out. At 50 miles an hour, wind noise can be generating 90 decibels. Now, a lot of this is going to depend obviously on whether you've got a huge big screen, a big fairing, a naked bike, whether you're wearing a full face helmet. There's loads of considerations, but we're talking kind of very roughly here. So 50 miles an hour could be 90 decibels. 90 miles an hour, you can start pushing that up to over 100 decibels. And in some cases, up at 110 decibels. Now, 110 decibels, you're going to be damaging your hearing in less than 10 minutes. So when you put that into perspective, you can see why I think you've got to be a fool not to wear ear protection. Now, earplugs come in all shapes and sizes and at all levels of the price range, right down from a few quid for those little foam things that you roll up and shove into your ear canal, all the way through to a few hundred quid for custom made moulded silicone plugs. So no one can use the excuse of saying, oh, it's too expensive. Who can't afford a couple of quid for some phone earplugs? And that could be the difference between having hearing and not having hearing in a few years' time. Simple as. But some people who are anti-earplugs will say, oh, it's dangerous to wear earplugs because it filters out the sound from the outside world. Makes you less safe. That's not strictly true. I mean, earplugs will reduce the decibel level by anything from 20 to 30 decibels going into your ears. So you can still hear what's going on outside. If you think that a siren on an emergency vehicle is anything between 110 and 120 decibels, let's say at the lower end 110, then it brings it down, let's say, to 80 decibels. 80 decibels, we're still talking about the level of a petrol lawnmower there. So I'm sorry, but I don't buy into the thing that it isolates you from the outside world. Yes, you have to get used to it. Yes, you have to adjust to it. But all it does, it just brings everything down to a slightly lower level. So in the end, to me, it boils down to don't be a mug, look after your lugs. So for those of you out there that might have scoffed at ever wearing earplugs, I hope that this has been a little bit of food for thought. But whatever you think on it, the subject, hope you've enjoyed it. As ever, please do put your questions, leave your comments in the boxes. Ride safely out there, keep it rubber side down, and I shall speak to you very soon. Cheers.